share?
Hello.
I heard my spiritual son, uh, Daniel.
What did he
He
say?
was singing the other
He
day.
was
I was
singing.
listening to him sing
Mm,
"Come On in the Room."
really?
He never heard this song
Did he
before.
use a southern
He he used a southern
a
accent.
southern accent?
No, he used that kind
Oh
of
man.
New Yorican kind of a thing he had
Oh
going on. It
wow,
wasn't the
wow.
old gospel wrist, like
Mm-hmm.
you know how the old deacons they'll make up a
No, I
song.
never seen that. No way. Hello everybody.
Well,
This is just
it was
our
just kind of interesting because I mean it's like it's Daniel,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he knows that now.
Come on,
And
Dan.
and the only reason he knows it is because he knows us. And I'm just, hey,
Hola,
hey,
how
darling,
are you?
thanks for joining.
Did you
So
did you have a preacher now? I hope.
hey, Alex Nico,
Alex
man,
Nico,
thanks for
welcome
joining.
on.
So yeah, it was just really interesting. But then, True Movement, she reminded me that not only did he learn that, but I learned from him, you gonna eat your cornbread.
Hello,
I
hello,
was
everybody.
cracking up. I said, because that's real talk. I had no idea what we were talking about before that. Was you mentioning my husband singing old Negro
Yeah,
screeches?
yeah. Come
Yes.
on in the room. Yes, yes, yes.
And I was cracking up. And I said, Lord, look at how you have changed things. You've moved stuff from, way. And I'm just like, look how amazing God is. You
Yes,
know?
he is.
And he's
Welcome,
so
welcome.
funny. Hey, Rose
Rose
Royalty, thank you for
Royalty
joining us
is
tonight.
joining us.
I
Hello.
just thought it was hilarious, but
Yeah,
I
that's
loved it,
cool.
because when you see
Mhm,
a person actually develop, and though
mhm,
he's not my normal physical natural born
mhm,
son, you still kind of saw
mhm.
him,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
sharing the,
he
you
got
know,
born
the
again.
elevation.
Yes, and then he started growing up in the Lord and started speaking, and
Mhm.
I just thought that was an amazing thing, and it's a blessing to be in that midwifery type position, you
Amen.
know.
On True Movements, I love that we share that
Yes,
growth.
look
Awesome,
at God,
awesome. God
right?
isn't done yet, is
And
it?
so,
Rose Royalty,
why
how
do we
are
say
you?
this? Because of the fact that means that no matter where you start,
Mhm.
there is a place that you can get to. There's
Mhm.
a journey involved and you
That's
can
right.
make it. You know what?
And it's
And that's what
not
we're
where you
talking about.
start, but
But
where you
where
end
you
up.
end up.
Yes.
Chicken on biscuits, how are you
Hello,
doing?
hello,
Here's
hello,
the real
sir.
adults of relations.
I hope so, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I hope so.
Got it.
We were cutting up with shenanigans when you came
Oh,
in, and hey, that's
and it's okay.
you
It's
gotta
all right.
laugh.
She says, I love those nails. Oh, thank
Mhm.
you, girl. Thank you, honey. I
She's got
appreciate it.
them.
They need to be dead, but thank you. Now, True Movement says, got to tell you how he did today to make me feel. Oh,
Look, it didn't involve him filling his jaws with air, did it? I'm just
okay.
don't let me be the spoiler, but there you go.
It is what it is. It,
Then he
if
inhaled.
it is what it is, whatever we have, what do we say?
Whatever we have to
Malcolm
do.
said, by all means, by any means
All right.
necessary. Isn't that what he said? And so we have to do what we got to do. And when we're talking about our relationships, sometimes we have to just go in, do the work, roll up our sleeves, get down
Yeah.
in the dirt. We might have to jump down, twirl around, and pick a bale of cotton. But whatever
I
you
don't know
want
about
to
that
do that
cotton now.
for.
No, no, I don't want to be involved in anything picking or cotton. Not been there,
What
done
about
there,
what
done
about
that.
cotton picking? You cotton picking? No, you don't like that
No,
either.
no, we'll just leave
See,
that in the
you can tell.
field.
You, you can kind of just tell, where people are on the age scale when it comes to certain conversations. Because I came to Mississippi, and my sweet husband, the first time I saw cotton in a field was when my sweet husband showed me what it actually looked like in the field growing. I mean, because it's hard to imagine that cloth grows. It just doesn't seem right. It's not something that you eat.
Mhm.
And so, why are we talking about cotton? Anyhow, chicken on biscuits. Now, let's say something. Here is a real man that has nurtured the woman that he loves hearing. Oh, yeah. Amen. That it is what it is, but we do what we have to do, right? So, guys, come on in here. Invite somebody, share the broadcast, and I want to warn you up front while I get live over here on Facebook because for some reason our stuff isn't wanting to do right over there. But while
Facebook, you
while
don't like the subject matter.
I don't know if it's Facebook or if it's the streaming platform.
Let's,
I don't know,
let's
but we'll
fix
figure
this.
that out. I'm gonna get Terry, and he gonna help us figure this out one of these good old days.
Hey, this does not have Abraham Martin John on it, but I'm gonna use it to fan.
Are you hot, baby?
No, I'm just joking.
You're so silly.
You know, all
So-
of the fans
Yeah, because sometimes he
from
does
the
make me
early
really
church
hot.
used to have
Little Martin Luther King.
insurance sales, had a picture of Martin and J.F. Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy, all of those church fans.
You're right. It really, and some of them still do. And it's the funniest thing. And I just crack up every time I see one.
And you go to one of the old Southern homes, and they still have a picture of Abraham, of Martin and John F. and Robert Kennedy.
I'm just right there, just hanging out together.
We shall overcome.
Just chilling.
Now listen,
all right.
That's not a laughing matter. We're just saying.
Hey, it is what it is.
It's just our banter. Thank you for being with us. We have pastors Greg and Michelle of marriagemakes3.com. GD and me Tuesdays through Thursday between 9 and 9:30 ish Central Standard Time. We're here, and I had I just said dropped it and left it at 9:30. That could have been that. Yeah, that could have been on another coast somewhere.
Yeah,
right. But thanks for being with us. My auntie is watching with us. Love you.
So
I forgot
here's
you.
The thing. Sometimes we have to make some things clear because if you don't, if you don't add in some room for error, then people will come after you.
Oh my goodness.
I thought you said between 9 and 9:30. It's 9:33, and y'all ain't on here yet. You remember one of our daughters, spiritual daughters, with inboxes? How come y'all are not on here? What's going on? And I wonder sometimes, were you really concerned about us?
Oh, you just want our content, don't you? You want to know how Esther's doing. Esther's our
right.
dog.
And so it is what it is. But listen, tonight. Now, we talked last night and we talked about communication. We asked that there's some things that we've got to do to fight fair. Okay. We did 3 steps to fight night, right? And now tonight, though, what we're going to be talking about is a little bit more delicate. All right. And she said it's 9:31:59, and people be like, where are you at? Yes. We're going to be talking something a little bit more delicate. And so what we need for you to do is, if you have any small children, if there are any wee ones about, if they're scuffling along, well,
in the bed.
The people in California,
some
of their kids are still.
They need to be in bed too. They need some sleep. They got Nancy Pelosi. He's asleep. Put them in bed. Maxine Waters and Nancy out there with y'all. Put those babies
in bed. Okay.
They don't need to.
So we want you to be sure, sirs and ma'am, that not only do you share the broadcast, invite somebody to be with us tonight, but we also want you to make sure that there are no small ears. Well, I shouldn't say small, because there's some big people, grown people, I should say, with great big heads and these little bitty ears. And their ears can really hear it. It's okay for their ears to hear. But I need you to be over 18 if you're going to be in here tonight. That's all we're saying. Okay? That's one of our babies. He comes on our podcast, right? So Abraham, if you're out here in the scoposphere, I need you to get in the bed because this is not for you tonight. All right. Last night, we could have worked it out, because anytime you're dealing with relationships, things that work in a marriage will also work on an individual and also on a platonic level.
Absolutely.
If you really think about it, those things will work. Hey, Kim, thanks for joining us tonight. Hey. Hi, Pyramat. Hi. How are you?
Welcome back. You've been with us a few other
Thank
times
you.
before.
Thank you
Hello,
for hanging
everybody.
out with us, guys.
My auntie, my father's baby sister is here, and I'm glad that she is here.
Yes.
I'm thankful for her, and even what we're going to talk about. I'm not. You notice that I'm not bashful about talking in front of my aunt. She loves us, and she's supportive of what we do,
Yes.
and she encourages. She has had a career as a nurse for
Yes.
22 plus years as a registered nurse,
Amen.
and has retired and then is enjoying her life and recovering right now, but it's going to
Amen.
be well. And we're
Amen.
going to get to hang out with her sometime later this summer and then again in November.
Yes.
We're going to get to spend some real quality time with her. All right.
Okay.
So thanks for being with us, everybody.
So we're going to reset because we just want to give you some time to get the little ones out of the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
All right. And what we do, invite the people. Tell the
Yes.
people we're here.
Mm-hmm.
GD and me, hashtag GD. He's GD and I'm me.
Come on.
Sometimes I don't remember that. It's like GD and me. GD and no wait, it's the other way around. So go on,
It's okay.
get somebody, let them know. All right. So tonight we're talking about fetish fever. Dun, 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 fetish down.
Sounds like it should go, but I
That,
don't think that's what they were.
it probably wasn't,
Boogie fever.
but it works.
Yeah, yeah.
It works, and this is our broadcast.
The intro. That's
So
right.
you know, who gonna check us?
We're not paying any royalties.
Okay, that
Thank
part.
you for being with us, everybody.
All right. So, love you, ain't Emma. I haven't shared the live yet. What you waiting for? Hit share. What you doing? What are y'all waiting on? Invite some people. We've already invited people.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Some of y'all need to know.
Okay. Mm-hmm. She said it's grown. Look, it's grown folks' time. That's absolutely correct. So listen. So we're talking tonight about fetish fever. I'm Pastor Michelle. This is Pastor G. That don't sound right in the whole sentence to it. We're talking fetish fever, and I'm the pastor. Y'all, do you realize that some of you
not endorsing them?
No. But you know how folk are.
Mm-hmm.
People are out here. Some of them will come in and look, and as soon as you say pastor, and first of all, some of them are like, first of all, you're not the right. You don't have the correct genitals to be a pastor. That's number one.
How do you know?
Exactly. And you know, it's so funny because I was saying this just the other day. Hey, Chuckle, I was saying this just the other day that there are some guys out here that call themselves pastors as well. And I don't know what they got. I don't want to see, but I'm just saying.
No question.
I tell you no lie.
Emma says, "How does her hair look?" And I can't see.
We can't see it, hey, Emma. This is one way. Yeah,
but we got to check your picture later, and
we'll have to do a FaceTime or something.
You know, you're looking good
as usual.
Family.
Hey, you had no choice. You're my Stella. Hey, amen. All right. So what were we talking about?
Okay, so we're saying that we're pastors.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about fetish fever.
Amen. Because
and why?
First of all, even though I'm a pastor, even though you're a pastor, there's only one way to get little pastors here.
Okay.
Baby pastors.
That's right.
Right? And so in order for he pastors and she pastors to have baby pastors. Some
biology.
Yes, it definitely, it really has to be. Yes. Okay. So that's all we're saying. So if you're squeamish, if you feel a little some kind of way about, this type of subject, just know that we finna talk about it.
Listen, what is important here? What's important is that you understand is that we still have a 48% divorce rate.
True.
In our country.
Yes, that
all
part.
Those who marry, who take a second wife or a second husband.
Yes.
78%. 8% of those are getting divorced.
Yo.
So you have to talk about the issues that couples face in marriage if you're going to do anything to prevent or to enhance what they have.
Yes.
if there's any chance of increasing or improving what they have to make them want
then
to
you
stay
should be
together,
doing it.
you want to talk about, you want to study, just as if you're going to college, if you're in school, you are taking up a new skill. You're going to take classes to figure out how to do this.
Very
You're
true.
going to study. You're going to apply yourself.
Yes, you
It's the
got to.
same thing in your marriage relationship. You need to study. You need to prepare.
That's it.
And that's all this is. It's
And
just
so
preparing.
it was so funny today. Um, I gave somebody, I inboxed them the link for Marriage Makes Three, the bit.ly/MM3LINKS, so that they can find some of the free stuff. And if they needed an encounter session, that they would also be able to get one. And my plan is that I was going to go in and change the calendar because there were some things that were on the calendar that probably wasn't there before, right? And before I could log in, I hit send. I stood up, I talked to my daughter, and I walked to my computer. And before I could get there, they were already on the calendar.
Wow.
For premarital stuff. Okay. And see, this is what I'm saying. Some of us, we wait until things get to the critical point to where at that astronomical level, when you're at 78%, that is critical mass time.
Absolutely.
And so we have to go in before time, deal with the issues, figure out where the roadblocks could possibly be. And we got to do, you know how they do that little cut with the ball, and then you got to turn, move it. And then the other person kind of says, well, you think where it's they saw it. And when you pull it out, is it there or isn't it? Okay. And so that's what we have to do when we're talking about our relationships. Hey, Sister Joyce, love you, sweetheart. Right? We have to do it. And so why are we talking about fetishes tonight? It's because there's folks out here that absolutely have fetishes.
We've been talking, we talked here in one of our broadcasts about a gentleman, I use the term loosely, who is not married to a traditional woman.
Oh my goodness.
He has a collection of 8 robotic women, 8 of them, dolls, life size, anatomically correct, 8 of them, right? You have people who are really, you may meet someone and you may find that they keep glancing down at your feet. And you're wondering why you're being creeped out, wondering why are they looking at my feet?
Lady Sapphire, where art thou, darling?
You need to hear this.
Where are you,
They're
girlfriend?
looking at your feet.
Yeah.
And you're wondering what in the world are your hands? Because people have fetishes.
They do. And here's the thing. Oh, we love you. I admire you, Wilson. Love you, sweetheart.
Wow.
He sends them out to get them updated and all. Yeah. They've got to have downloads. They've got to have the right downloads
so
because they have to upgrade. So
wow.
let me upgrade you, right? I guess that's one way to be able to do it. You just get an upgrade. Oh my God. Okay. So that is so hilarious. So here's the first thing, guys. Again, don't forget, if you need an encounter session, a spiritual encounter session, free for 15 minutes with us, bit.ly/MM3LINKS, or go to marriagemakes3.com and you can find us, okay? So here's the thing. When we're talking about fetishes, that there are so many different types. Now, when we talk about fetishes, now we're just giving education. Okay. Right. There are some things, exactly. There are some things that are what we call prejudices.
Yes.
Meaning that I just like this. Okay. And then that blew my mind. I was done. Amen. Yes. Hey, Nima. There are something, a lube job, I guess, a change spark plugs. I don't know. Oil the parts.
Implants. Get a robotic, maybe a new data implant, because they do have a certain amount of words that
right.
they can,
so they can
so that they can respond to you properly.
So crazy.
Man. And
like
I
what they
don't know.
like.
See, I be thinking now, this is somebody who can't really handle a real woman. No. This one is not going to talk bad about him.
True.
I mean, he has 8 of them.
True.
So if he gets a little bit tired of one, he can kind of store her in the closet.
Yes, you can. He doesn't have to worry about weird. STDs. He doesn't.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right, ain't Emma? Yeah. You're so right about that.
One of his
but see, here's the thing. Like what we were saying, some things are, and I don't want to say prejudices because I think people get the wrong idea. Let's say some things are people's preferences.
Okay.
And then you've got the other side of the coin. I don't have a coin here. But y'all know what I'm talking about, right? You've got prejudice. You've got 2 sides of a coin.
You're looking for a coin?
I got one. Boom. It's only a penny, but it's still a coin. Hey, you've got preferences on one side, but then if you go too far, sometimes you might find yourself, Miss Cindy, not you specifically, but you know what I'm saying. You might find yourself on the other side of the coin where we in Christendom call perversion. Okay? There's preferences and perversion.
Okay. Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
And so when we're talking tonight about fetishes, we have to know that there is a difference between preferences and perversions. Okay? All right. Somebody put 2 P's in the chat. All right. So we can go ahead, not PP. No. You all remember PP boy from school, right? He always felt like PP. Oh my God. Why did I even say that around? Sorry. Okay. Kim says implementation, full lips, moans, wigs, eyes, and all, sounding boards and shapes. Wow, isn't that incredible? Wow. But you know what? That's one way to get an upgrade without having to deal with all the other stuff, right? So preferences and perversions. Now, we have a daughter, even though she's older, I think. Yeah, she's definitely than me. But
anyway, we have a daughter.
A spiritual daughter, right? That calls us mom and dad. And she has a preference for pretty feet on men. Okay? She likes for her gentleman, the one that she's in the relationship with. Right? Yeah. And so that's a preference. Bunions on top of your coin. Bunions on top of bunions. Okay. Her preferences are that I like, I like the toes to be a certain length and a certain shape. Wow. I like the toenails to be filed just symmetry. Right. Yes. Yes. And you can't have all hair. I remember one time she called somebody, she said they got werewolf feet. Right? And so if that's not your preference, then that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But when you get to what we're talking about tonight, fetish fever, you gotta be kind of sick. for some of these, you know what I'm saying, on the perversion side of the house. Okay. When you're talking about a foot fetish, right? Not a preference, but a fetish, when there's a sexualization of feet that turns into a trigger for arousal. Wait a minute. Now it's not only, my preference. Now it can move it. And I cannot have an orgasm unless there are some feet involved and there's something being done to those feet. Right. In the mouth. Okay. Yo. Hello. Yeah. What? Yes. Yeah. There are those of us. Hey, bless up. There are those of us as far as humankind. Okay. That'll work. Okay. That they like feet to the place of perversion, I believe. Yeah. I think anything, because the Bible talks about us having temperance as one of the fruit of the spirit. And temperance will help us so that we don't eat all we want, drink all we want, talk all we want, act out all we want, because we have some temperance. God has a way of Holy Spirit has a way of holding us in so that we're not out here just doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. And what's funny is that, and the difference between that being a preference and a perversion is that we know our daughter. And I fully suspect that if Mr. Right steps in,
True.
if Mr. Right steps in, his feet may not be a 10,
Okay.
you know, when he first meets her.
Right.
Right. But because once he finds out that this is a value, this
It's
is a
something
concern.
that she.
Now she isn't not the type of person who's going to meet you and who's going to say, "Let me see your feet first." She's not going to do that. We
We
know her
hope.
better than that. Listen,
Okay.
but if there's an occasion where your shoes are off,
Right.
she's going to notice that. But and if you're the right person,
Yes.
the next time you see her, you will have been to the podiatrist or to the
Right.
pedicure,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
so those kinds of, and that's the difference between, if there's quality, if this is a quality person, you have a good job, you have a motivation, you have
Work ethic.
awareness of who you are,
Yeah.
you can communicate, you're a loving, generous person.
Yes.
If you have those qualities, I can just about bet she isn't going to
Yeah.
throw you out because of
Right.
your feet
Your
of
feet.
dogs. You know.
Okay. Bless up says if his feet looking like money, then oh baby.
What are we gonna do with you, baby?
Oh
I
no.
love you. Though.
Okay. So when we're talking about this, I believe as a perversion side, when we're talking about fetishes, extreme fetish, um, is when your feet are sexualized to the needing the feet involved in order to experience climax. Y'all, you have to have it. It's not. It's required. And then here's this thing. There's a low level, okay, which I think is a preference when we're talking about foot fetishes. Some people like kissing the feet or massaging the feet. And you'll always find them massaging your feet or looking at them or manipulating them in some kind of way. And it's not only giving them pleasure, but it's giving you pleasure in some form, right? Here's the problem, y'all. Hold on to your seatbelts. And look, get your barf bag over there too while you're at it. All right. Here's the issue. There are those other people that like to foot gag. That means that you're putting someone else's foot or their toes in their mouth so far back that they start. Hello. That's perversion. I would say, my dear fellow, my dear sister.
It's an extreme. You're
Yes.
absolutely right. And that's the difference. The extremity
Yes.
of it is what makes it pervert. The must-have nature of it in order to be aroused or to be fulfilled makes it a fetish or a perversion.
Some people like stinky feet. They like to lick it. They like to suck it. They like to caress it. They like to put it all in their noses. That's what I'm saying. He put his toes in my mouth and he getting kicked.
And she said,
"You saying we have a problem?"
So would he have a problem putting your toes in his mouth? I see. So it works both ways. Would you have a problem with putting your toes in
his
his
mouth?
mouth? Is he going to get kicked in? I'm just asking.
You're asking for bless up. Well, I ain't no telling what she gonna say.
No. I know the answer.
So here's the thing. Are you one of those that just like kissing and rubbing of the feet? You like to play footsies under the table? Are you one of those that you want to shove that nasty, sweaty, stinky sock in the tennis shoe for the last 5 hour foot with all the little cheese grits that's done collected with the lint and all that in between? That's what.
I was just thinking about Prince Charming. Cinderella's Prince Charming. have you ever thought about that? Come on. Prince Charming had a little foot, and he had these slippers
already made up. They were
hmm
glass.
hmm
They were expensive.
hmm
They were precious because if you drop it, it's
hmm
gonna break. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so that might have been. I don't feel like he had a fetish that was, to the perversion side. It was
Yeah.
more of a preference
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Look, let me drop this one too. Here in the Asian countries, in the Orient parts of the Orient,
Y'all listen.
they have something called foot binding,
Mhm.
where they take the feet of a young girl while she is
Yes.
young, and they begin to bind the feet
Mhm.
in order to keep them small,
Mhm.
right? To keep them small for the
Yep.
rest of their
For the
life,
rest of
to
their
keep
life.
them dependent at home.
Yes.
So you start to think, okay, maybe there's something else going
Going
on
on
there.
here. Yes.
Whoever started it may have just loved feet,
Mhm.
but whoever kept it going, and maybe it's
Right.
another reason.
And
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 they
they
still practice it.
yeah,
There's some who
they
still
still
practice it.
practice it. And some of them, honey, you don't even see it's not even like they bind it like this. They put the toes under
Yeah, yeah.
and bind it with the
Almost
toes
like a
under.
ballerina.
And you're like, wait a minute, how are you gonna walk? Where's your
Mm,
balance? Well, they
mm,
learn to get around it because this is a part of that culture that they've got
mm.
going on.
Wow.
And
Mm,
see, that is extreme to me.
yeah, it is.
Licking nasty, stinky cottage cheese in between foot fungus, nails, looking jacked up toes, to me,
Yeah.
is perversion.
So,
Something ain't right about that. Okay? We ain't down for the foot, hoof, and mouth disease.
come on. Come on, that's some other
Corona
comment.
going around. Don't out no don't put no feet
Don't
out
want no
on
feet
me.
on me.
She said she's screaming. We are so serious. And
Yeah.
so here's the other thing. We talked the other night, honey, and we asked about number 17 on that free download that we have. Where do we have a copy of it? Listen, here it is. When we were talking the other night about yes, no, maybe so, and we asked you guys to throw out a number so we can give you a question. This is a tool, a communication guide, and it also helps you with your sexual relationship in your marriage. Because you all wouldn't believe how many people are out here in sexless marriages. It's almost hard to say sexless.
Or
My
in
tongue.
relationship where they can't communicate about a certain aspect of their intimacy. And so, so that's why the guide is so that you can talk about.
About it.
Oh, okay, what are we doing?
It's just that when I think when I felt the weirdness right in here on my common like sexless.
Sexless.
I mean,
Okay.
even
hmm
saying the two words together, sexless,
Yeah.
it is just the strangest, most craziest thing
Yeah.
I've ever in my life. So, well, why are we married? Why would sex
Yeah.
less and marriage be in the same? Well, anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
feeling like I'm
So,
sorry.
what's going
Oh,
on over
oh,
there?
oh my God. All right. So this is the guy. She says number 28. There is no number 28. And not only that, I'm telling you about something that already happened. So I
Mhm.
can't change it because then that we would be in an alternate universe. And then that wouldn't be right because then the story wouldn't go the right way. You know what I'm saying, Kim? You got me? You heard? All right. So here it is. We asked the question number 17, and number 17 was this: would you be interested in any light bondage type elements? Yes, no, or maybe so. So here's the thing. There are those people that are out here that they have a fetish to bondage, right? Ready to regurgitate out. Yes, I am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
And so here's the question. And listen, you all can get this. It's a free download over at bit.ly/mm3links. Okay, go find it. Um, Not only are there people that like um foot have a foot fetish or foot um uh perversion,
Mhm.
there are also those people that like the feet thing, but they like it with a bondage element that goes
Yeah.
along with it, right? So here's the bondage element. Some people like to force the other person
Mhm.
to lick, suck, kiss,
Mhm.
smell, their feet. And that's another element of what they like, that kind of thing. You're like, wait a minute, you want someone to beat you into submission so that you will suck their toes because that's what you like. And so you added a whole nother layer, another element. There are some people that use shoes as a masturbatory uh, uh, object. You're like, wait, what? Masturbatory. Yes.
I know what you meant. Just one about the word. For masturbation.
Yes. Okay. Yes. They use it for masturbatory purposes.
Okay.
They use a shoe. I don't even have one, but I have my slipper.
Well, you can leave it under there. That's okay. We get the idea.
There are those people that, shoes, different types of shoes and stuff, they will use it, and they have to have that in order to feel sexual fulfillment.
Yeah.
Something is wrong
to derive pleasure. Now, where that came from, who knows?
I have absolutely no, and I don't even really want to know. But it happens. And so,
in fact, I've known people who left the room and came back and found someone actually smelling their shoe.
Oh my God.
Deriving pleasure
from smelling somebody's stinky shoe. Yeah.
Well, I guess to her, he did not think her feet were stinky. So here again, that's a case where someone's
preference,
pleasure is derived from a
inanimate object,
something that's really kind of weird to the rest of us.
So listen, y'all know, like, if people come to your house, right, and they use your bathroom, that for the most part, they might either be in your cabinet, your medicine cabinet, or they might pull the curtain to see if you're nasty, if your tub is nasty, right? And so imagine you leave the room and you leave your shoes in there because, I don't know, you took them off, you went on a nice long jog, you pulled them off, and your feet may have gotten a little wet from whatever the rain was going on outside, and then you left it there and went somewhere to another room and come back and somebody's got their face planted on the inside of your shoe.
In your dirty laundry or in your shoe.
Oh my God. All right.
And those, and we don't want that to move you away from dating, right, or for maybe pursuing someone to date. But we need to be aware that those kinds of things
are out here,
exist.
Yes,
they're very real. And we talked about this. You asked them to put P, the letters P and P into the.
I did.
I
did it. I did it.
Okay.
It is what it is.
I ain't gonna say anything.
There's some folks that
they already got it.
Yeah.
They already got it. They cannot get pleasure except some urine is passed on them. Yeah. Okay. And then there's a very well-known example. All right. I won't even. Bless us. Medicine.
Okay. She said he can massage my feet, but that's all. He better not ask for me to put my feet in his mouth. Since this shit's weak, I am not smelling a shoe in the medicine cabinet. Sound like they tipsy. Some folks are just nosy, and they'll go in the medicine cabinet. True. They'll go and move the curtain back so they can see if it, what it looks like. I don't know. It's just some sort of nosy thing.
Trying to steal your bathtub ring. Ring of marriage.
Okay, your bathtub ring. So some people are turned on, and this is something else. Some people, especially men, we found that men are turned on, and this is on the preference side. I believe we can move back to the preference side. On the preference side, some men like to see women's feet in heels. If you got on a pair of heels, baby, you almost got him hooked, right? If you have on some sandals with the toe out, they think that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. A nice slide, and they like you to wear certain types of shoes. And so that's just like a preference type of a thing, okay? But when we move to that other stuff, it just gets too weird. It gets weird.
What can go wrong with that is that if a guy's his total expectation, he begins to build a fantasy around that, so that you can't even wear house slippers like you had out here earlier.
Yes. Oh my
You can't
goodness.
wear those, or he's not
Interesting.
interested.
Wow.
Okay.
Yo.
No, you need to put them heels on.
Back out. Mm-mm.
Baby, put them heels on. So uh, so that's where it crosses the line.
Yeah.
And so part of it, now we need to be aware of a preference, what a preference is versus
A perversion.
what a perversion is.
Yes.
Okay. Because some people, their view, their interest in pornography, it goes beyond an interest
Right.
or an intrigue about the human body, and it becomes a perversion.
Yes.
Okay.
Amen.
So, and there are many, many
That
examples.
that deal with that.
Mhm.
And listen, when we're talking to those that are in marriages, even those that have been married for a good while or even a short time, if they end up having to deal with pornography and its grasp, its hold, sometimes y'all it becomes so deep and
Yeah.
ingrained that you need a little time of deliverance from
Mhm.
that. Yes, it's that powerful.
Yeah.
And for most of the ladies that we deal with when it comes to counseling, especially sometimes even almost even as bad as you had an affair with someone.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of the ladies that we talk
Mhm.
to that they feel like, you know, and and we understand. Um, and it's not, it's not better. One sin isn't better than the
Mhm.
other sin, but you know what I'm saying. When you've got predispositions to some things, you've got to find that middle ground so that you can find your way back to each
Mhm.
other. And sometimes when you're dealing with pornography, it can have such a grasp that then
Yeah. True.
it leads you to something else. And so
Mhm.
that we have to be super careful of that. Okay,
Absolutely.
because now you're expecting things that isn't really based in reality.
Mhm. Now, let me just say very briefly, one of sometimes a little boy's first um, interest level of interest in sex is usually with a sibling's, a girl's underclothing, a mom's underclothing. I mean, and it's one of the worst things that we can think about children doing, but we have to understand that that's a child,
Yeah.
and there needs to be a conversation,
Mhm.
not where you make it the end of the world. I can't believe you. They don't
Right.
know. There's a curiosity,
Right.
and you need to talk to them on a level where they
They
can
can, yeah,
grasp, what's
without
going on,
shaming them.
because there's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference, and I don't know. I what age do we become? We become aware
Right.
of the differences.
Yes. Amen. And not to shame them,
Mhm.
but just to let them know, listen, there's certain things that we don't do
That's right.
with everybody around.
Respect.
Yes.
Mhm.
And there's something called privacy
Mhm.
that every
Privacy.
person needs to
Mhm.
have.
Absolutely.
And I guess I could say that too. Listen, when you're for those of you that don't have children yet or you have very, very small children, teach them some boundaries.
Yes.
Okay? If you teach them the boundaries now, you won't have to worry about that meme, you know, what was y'all doing in there? I heard y'all heard us what? I heard y'all. Mama was going, oh, oh, and daddy was going, oh, oh, oh. See, you don't have to deal with that because they know that there's a boundary. If mommy and daddy's door is closed, you do not open the door, you do not knock on the door. Or I mean, you can knock on the door, but if you don't hear anything, then the first thing that you need to do is go away and then come back in about 10 minutes. And if, we might be asleep, we may be involved in something so that they'll know that there is a place that they belong. The door is closed for a reason. Yes. To private time. Yes. They don't even know what you're doing. It depends on how old they are. And regardless, if they do know, that's none of their business.
Yeah. Age appropriate explanations, scientific terms, You don't need to give them too much information.
Right.
You don't want to lie to them either.
Yeah,
because that
exactly.
can be detrimental and later
Okay.
on.
All right.
But that little boy, his first experience, and he knows that this is kind of risque. It's wrong, and so he may take the underwear and hide them to where he can kind of check them
Check
out
him out. Like, how
on,
come we
you
don't wear
know,
these?
while nobody else is around.
Yeah, we don't
You
wear
know,
these.
so you want to be aware of things like
Yeah.
that. If you have children,
True that.
boys or girls, you
True
know.
that. True that.
Mhm.
All
All
right.
right.
So, all right. So we talked about the first one, which is one that most everybody knows,
Mhm.
or have had some sort of exposure to.
Mhm.
Now, there's this next one. All right. Next thing next. Fetish fever. Dun, 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 dun,
Fetish fever.
fetish down. Thank you, Triple Man. She said fetish fever. Fetish features or is it fevers? I thought it was
Fever.
fevers.
Fever.
GD and me, relationship, marriage,
Thank
bit.ly,
you. Fetish
reconnected. Thank you
fever.
guys
Mhm.
so much. Amber Dawn said our kids will know if they hear noises to go back to sleep. Amen. And the church say amen again.
I thought it was a robber.
Okay. I know somebody who did that, took his mama panties and brought to school. Okay.
Oh.
Right. Got you. Understandable. Right. So here's one that we may or may not know about when we're talking about fetish fever. Impact play. Has anybody heard of it? Let me see a number one in the chat if you've heard of impact play. Hey, Brother Henry, how are you, sir? Impact play. Have you heard of impact? I am not impact wrestling. Because there is an impact wrestling,
Yeah,
isn't it? Not oh, there was. All right. What it is, I ain't seen not nail one. Not nary a one. No, nobody's heard of impact play before. Oh my goodness. Impact play is this, y'all. It's spanking. I bet if I would have said they would have known what I was talking about then, because y'all freaky. A lot of you saints out here be acting like y'all are pure and holy. And some of you are pure and holy, but some of you act like you ain't never did nothing. Like you ain't never tried nothing. Like you have been saved since Yeshua was born. And you have always been that way. It's just me and Yeshua alone. It's only been us two. Like you and your husband, like you and your wife ain't never did nothing. Lies are from the book of lies. Because once you get to counseling, we find out about this stuff. And there's no shame in it. We're just saying, we understand that the saints, all of us, ain't been one somebody persons. Okay? Bless up said handcuffs. See, flogging, paddling. Where's that paddle, babe? You still got your paddle over here?
But listen now. That's not what this paddle is for. So don't get all excited. That's not what this is for. So don't get excited. This is for scraping the grill, even though you don't see any grill marks on it yet. It's for illustration. It's for getting attention. It's for the grandkids. Not for y'all. Not for...
So it's consensual, though. Mm-hmm. Let's remember that part. Consensual.
That's it.
Spanking, flogging, paddling. It leads to exploration, right? And impact play can range from a light slap on the bum, to a cracked web. Now, let me say this. You guys remember that there's a difference, okay? Two sides of the penny, two sides of the coin. One is preference and one is perversion. All right. Where are we at on the coin? Are you at preference or are you at perversion? A light slap on the bum compared to somebody taking something like a big whip or chain and pop it. Ooh, that hurt just doing that to myself. So can you just imagine? Bless us with a strong a strong shower curtain rod. I'm so mad at you right now. So here's the thing. If you're one of those that like, little light tap cups on the bum, right? Yeah. That's a preference. Hey, amen. But listen, I remember a gentleman. He's no longer with us. Okay? Because he was one of those that it wasn't just a preference for something, it was a perversion. All right. And so when we're saying these things, I want you all to know that take it really from our hearts that we're not condemning you at all. There is no judgment here. Okay. No judgment zone, not for foot scraping. Okay. But listen, you all need to learn that if you're going to be doing, what you all do, that you've got to be careful while you're doing it. We don't want anybody to be hurt. You don't want to end up on that show. Sex sent me to the ER. All right. And sometimes when we're talking about fetish fever, you have to go in because there's some things that's going on that because it has left from preference to perversion, okay, then you got to really consider what you're doing. Okay. Now, here's another one. Now, this one is pretty mild. And a lot of people do this, and like we said, preference perversion. There are those that like to role play. You know, you are the criminal. You have gone in and you've stolen something from the people's establishment, and now you want Mr. Officer to come to handcuff you and take you away.
Coming to check out Cinderella's feet.
Yes.
So role play.
Right. Some people like to dress up as a doctor or a nurse will come in and take care of, their husband or their wife. And it's just something that adds a little fun. You have a little duster and, you start singing little songs, whatever it is. Okay. Now, there are people that they enjoy that. That's their thing. And in their marriage, as long as you're not out here tying people to railroad cars in the middle. Okay. As long as it's not becoming dangerous, okay. Your little. I love a firefighter. Ooh, I love a man in a uniform. Okay, go and get him a. There's stores that you can buy police officer uniforms for play. There are places you can get firefighter uniforms and stuff for play. There are places that you can go and get, those types of things. Now, if you're going to be, and this is a whole other one as well, if you're going to be a police officer and you've got a taser, okay, I need you to know that these things are real. If you're going to get a real one, know that the shock is real.
Yeah. Handcuffs real.
Yes.
If you don't have the key,
right, you can find yourself in a heap of trouble.
Yeah, because you may be the one that ends up getting cuffed. And your buddies down at the force have to come and find out why you get you loose.
So it could be a one-time thing. It could be a oftentimes thing that a husband, meets his wife at some secluded restaurant, and he has on a Dick Tracy a trench coat and the hat, and he goes in and he's looking and he's sitting at the people's establishment, looking around the room, peering to find that one special someone, and it always ends up being his wife because they already know the game. Okay.
Listen, if you show up in a trench coat, folks gonna know. You may think you're getting away, but people know. Oh,
I see what's going on here.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
so please, ma'am, and please, sir, when you're doing your fetishes, when you're
Role
doing
play.
your role playing and things of that nature, please be safe. Please,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's another thing for those of you that are out here. You've got the little fuzzy handcuffs and
Hmm.
all those things. Those of you that like the little step on the bum, okay. I want you to know that there has to be a time when the two of you sit down and you discuss this.
Yeah.
And you say, yes, or you say, absolutely
Hmm.
not. Or you say, well, maybe so. I might, yeah,
Hmm.
something that I
Yeah.
might be
Listen,
willing to do that.
when when this thing when it becomes a fetish, there's extremes being
Hmm.
involved.
Hmm.
You go off script.
Yes.
You say, okay, yes, I like the idea about the handcuffs. And okay, so it just trying we just plan to, just light binding with the cuffs and release you after the safe word. But if you refuse to honor the safe word, or if this goes on into 2 or 3 days instead of an evening, you know, we're talking an
Kidnapping.
extremity. This
Yes.
has gone extreme and it's become a fetish.
And you going
And
to
this is
jail.
when you're in trouble, right?
And you, sir, you ma'am, are going to jail 4 days,
Hmm.
and you haven't uncuffed that
Oh my
person,
goodness.
and they don't know how
Hmm.
to get out of it, and they've been
Hmm.
screaming the same word, and you ain't got them out.
Yeah,
Who you going to jail?
yeah, yeah. If she,
You
if he or she ever needed a reason, an excuse,
to
you know.
jail. You're
Hmm.
going. That's all there is to it. Okay, because they're gonna say that you are holding someone against their will.
Hmm.
They're going to say
Hostage.
that you're kidnapping, depending upon
Hmm.
how it all really plays all the way out. And I like what you said. There has to be an established. This is gameplay. This is when we're going to start. This is when we're going to stop.
Hmm.
If you ever get uncomfortable with this, that, or the other,
Hmm.
here's the safe word. Okay.
And you never want to do something that uh, uh, you are out of. You have a little reservation, a little anger with them,
Yes.
and so we're going to do this
None of this
so
passive
I can
aggressive.
prove something to you. You don't want to do that.
Amen. Amen.
I know of a gentleman, and I didn't respond to it, but a gentleman who was a little bit into throttling, who liked to kind of cut his air off,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and this person passed away.
Mm.
When
Wow.
I was on police duty, he passed away because this went too
Too
far.
far.
So that's why we're saying, and we're not condemning anyone who may have find a little bit of pleasure, enjoyment. The key is to have talked about those things.
Right. Remember,
Talk about it. Two
preference,
sides.
perversion.
Hmm.
Okay, preference,
Perversion.
perversion. And you need to know which one that you're dealing with. Hey, good hair, everybody. Love you,
Hmm.
sweetheart. All right. So here's the thing. If you find that there are things that you and your spouse have sat down together and you have said, "I
Hmm.
like this. This gives me pleasure. This um, uh, makes me feel satisfied," then
Hmm.
you need to know that before anything starts.
Absolutely.
My husband, and we're not even talking about the same person. There
Hmm.
is that thing where some people like to be choked. And this gentleman, I knew a gentleman as well that liked to be choked with a what is it? A belt.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
And that gentleman, they found him, okay? They found him deceased.
Hmm.
And so when we're talking about fetish fever, you've got to know there's two sides of the coin. And you have to know where your side of the coin is. If it's something that you believe, especially as a believer, you're going to decide, is this intemperate? Is
Hmm.
this okay? What does God think about this for me? And when
Hmm.
you know that, then you can be secure in the knowledge that
Come on.
either I'm on the right side of the coin, the preference side of the coin, or
Hmm.
am I on the perversion side of the coin? God, where am I? Where do I need to be? And listen, those of you that are dealing with some of these issues, we want you to know that there is help. There's nothing wrong with you and what you like. Okay? But just make sure that you are liking something that is not going to take your life or cause hurt or harm to the other person. Okay? We'll be right back. Instagram fan, we'll be right back. And we're almost finished, you guys, but we just want to make sure that you all understand this, that every single person has to learn when you're getting into a relationship and you are getting married, you're going to have to learn each other. Okay. And when you learn each other, you're able to discern where both of you are at. Lord, let me stop, not die trying to have sex. Yes. Amen. And the sexual relationship between a husband and a wife is supposed to bring pleasure. That's right. And if it's beginning to leave whelps, when it starts to
be demeaning
yes.
to one,
Amen. Taking the life of a person, or putting yourself in jeopardy of your life being snuffed out sooner than when it was supposed to have been, then those are areas that you definitely need to sit down and talk about. Now, we're not sexologist counselors, but we do have to deal with it because those are the top 3 areas that a couple, when they come to us, we're already we have moved from, the tickles and all that stuff. We have moved from that to they want me to do this, and I don't know if that's something that I am willing to do. Okay. And that's why we developed this particular tool at bit.ly/MM3LINKS. You can get a copy of it, download it right there for your time together so you can figure out what exactly it is that you two have got going on. Do you have fetish fever? Is it something that you need to be seen about? Is it something that you need to talk to someone else about so that you'll know, okay, maybe I've gone a little bit too far, or maybe maybe this is okay and I just need my spouse to understand that's where I'm coming from. Okay. When we love someone, when we make love, it ought not to hurt. That's right. Okay. That's right. And physically, if some things are hurting you to the place, right, where she said, and have safe words, and if it's hurting you to the place that you're having to be hospitalized, you're having to go in and get things removed and things of that nature, it could be something as simple as you are turning that place in life where things aren't as lubricated the way that it used to be when you were younger and your hormone levels were different, things of that nature. But what we have to do is we have to be super careful that we are loving one another the right way. That's right. Okay. So Marta's putting it up in the Smarter Virtual Assistant. She's sending it at bit.ly/MM3LINKS. Link up with Pastor G and Pastor Me. They are marriage. We are. I'm just reading what she said, y'all. We are marriagemakes3.com. Find us over there. It might be where you feel like, there's some other stuff that we definitely need to discuss as husband and wife. There are some things in a relationship past that I am still trying to get over. I'm still trying to break out from this traumatic experience that I have had. And that's what's causing my dysfunction when it comes to our sexual relationship. So please, ma'am, please, sir, find us at bit.ly/MM3LINKS, or you can find us at marriagemakes3.com. And what we do is we give you a free 15-minute encounter session. We can talk about this kind of stuff where listen, nothing really surprises us anymore. And we could tell you stories, but we can't tell you stories, if that makes sense. Okay. The names have been changed to protect the innocent and or the guilty, right?
So the broadcast is called Fetish Fever, hashtag GD and me relationship marriage bit.ly/reconnect for our offer. Reconnect it part. Pardon me.
Okay.
Thank you all for being with us. We appreciate you. Kimmy says, I think she's saying good night. Love you guys. So thank you so
Love
much,
you,
Kimmy, for
darling.
being with us.
All right. So that's our broadcast for tonight. Now we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Mhm.
7 more.
There's more.
There's more.
There's more.
So come back tomorrow night and we'll finish this out. Okay. We promise we'll finish it out. Now, again, Pastor Michelle, Pastor G, marriagemakes3.com. Go on over before I do, after I do, and everywhere in between. We're here for you to give you the tools to help you to get your relationships on in pocket. All right. We talked tonight about fetish fever. Where are we on the spectrum? Make sure that you find yourself on the right side of the coin. We'll be back tomorrow night between the hours of 9:30ish Central Standard Time so that we can finish this. Amen. Because we need to know about these things. Some education is not for us to go out and try everything. Some of our education is so that we'll know when someone comes in conversation and they're saying this or that, that we'll know we can be intelligently informed.
That's
Amen.
right. That's
Hey,
right.
pay more. Hey, sir, the
Hello,
Lord bless you,
hello.
man of God. You
Thank
guys are a
you.
blessing. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Appreciate
that.
you.
All right. So find us. You might need spiritual relationship counseling. You can find us at marriagemakes3.com. Get that free encounter session first, and then you may need a course of counseling. You may even need deliverance. All right. And those are things that we do. We're Christian pastors. We are veterans of the United States Air Force, and your go-to couple for all things relationship. We will see you guys right here tomorrow night. Be here and bring a friend. Make sure you share this and invite somebody. All right. Get the link and tell the people.
We always remind you at the close of our broadcast that God loves you and we love you. And ain't a thing you can do about it up in here. Thanks for being here.
Love you guys.
We're
Thank you
out.
so
See you
much.
tomorrow.
Appreciate you all very much. And we thank you so much for being a part of our family.
Thank you, True Movement. Thank you, Kimmy.
Don't see our daughter now. If you're in here, Deidre, we can't see you tonight. So you might be ghosting, but we appreciate you all the time. Love you guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys tomorrow night.
Good night, guys.